Hello, forward thinkers, and welcome to another episode of Urban Canvas. Today we have Theo and Ivy from the Queer Collective, and we will discuss the United by Pride initiative. So, my first question is that we all know that Pride was held in May in Cyprus. So, what is United by Pride? What's the difference from the official Pride that's been held in May, and why United by Pride? Let's start from Theo.
Okay. Well, first of all, we have three prides in Cyprus. There is the 17th of May Pride, which is happening in the north. And it's always held on the 17th of May, which is the International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia. Ida Hobbit for short. And it's also quite unique in that it's self-organized and self-funded. There is a committee of participating organizations who want to support that initiative. Which was also the inspiration for creating the basis of United by Pride and how it functions. But back to your question, we see United by Pride as an initiative that is intersectional and intercommunal, in that it brings together all of the communities from Cyprus, as many as possible, in a space which is the most accessible given the current situation that we have in Cyprus. And it's the most accessible because it's held in the UN buffer zone, granting access to people from both the north and the south to be able to attend.
Excellent. So what's unique about this is that there's two parallel marches, one from the north of Nicosia, one from the south of Nicosia, and they meet at the UN buffer zone at Lydra Palace. When did this idea started forming in your head, and how did it come about?
So, Queer Collective was first established in 2022, and because what you said earlier about there is no such thing as unofficial pride. It's not something that is trademark copyrighted. It's something that is, I will be a bit more poetic, I think it's something that it comes from deep within us and our community and the bonds that we have and we want to maintain. And in this case, we want to maintain bonds and the community and strengthen the foundations, but from both sides and everything of that entails, because we feel that it's something different, alternative, and we're focusing on unification. So the first United by Pride, and now we're on the fourth one.
Yep.
It has upgraded, adapted to everything that has been happening in the climate, and we will always be political, and we'll always try to focus from the bottom up, grassroots, and always involve people from all communities, basically.
Yeah, I think what Ivy said is really important to give a little bit more context, perhaps, for the viewers. It's an initiative that is self-funded. It's self-organized. On the various materials that you will see about United by Pride, there are no logos from anyone. There are no sponsors. And the idea is to be able to have, and we've successfully been able to have this for the fourth year running, an independent grassroots pride that centers the community. The stage of United by Pride is reserved for LGBT artists who are based in Cyprus or who are Cypriots from the diaspora.
Who should we expect to see this year? Let's give us a tease.
The information is out. We will have a headliners, Putundus Tutus, which is a local queer punk band from Kaimakli. And they will be accompanied by a number of smaller acts. We will have Voguing CY with us. We will have Otkin, which is a whacking group. We will have Caramel with us from the African LGBTIQ Association, who sings. We will have Hassan from the north, who is a dancer and performer. And we will have as our gorgeous hosts, Aphroditios and Cosmo Moros, a Greek-speaking and a Turkish-speaking Cypriot, respectively. And I think that is part of the essence of United by Pride, being able to bring people from across the divide with an overarching message of reunification and peace building. All, of course, within a queer context, which, as Ivy very correctly said, is political. And we do view things in an intersectional lens. So the Cyprus problem for us is an intersectional issue, which obviously affects, and many times disproportionately affects, LGBTQIA plus people.
Also, I want to say something about, like, because I feel it's very important, because especially when you're doing initiatives in Cyprus, there's not just in this sphere, in our little queer bubble, but also in other communities, corporations are always expected to come in and swoop you and give you the funds, the grants, the stuff. But that's the thing, in my opinion, because this is what I love, what we're doing, especially with United by Pride, that, this is it. This is what you see is what you get. You don't have corporations and businesses coming in and trying to do the little, we can also put our little, pride flag here. We also are with you. This, in my eyes, and it's fine if you correct me, it can be a bit more brutal. This hypocrisy is what makes things much harder right now. We can't even initiate sometimes a proper dialogue without.
You talk about pinkwashing.
Yes, I'm trying. Very hard to be like.
No, it's okay. I think
and
it's
also,
pinkwashing is a thing.
That's one thing, and also in many communities, and this is the thing, that in many communities, not only LGBTQI plus communities, many communities in the arts and in everything that is political, corporations, corpus come in, and things start getting erased. Things that started good with non-profit initiatives get destroyed under the capital. It's fine, under the whole corporation.
We'll edit that out.
No,
Yeah,
no,
we're
no.
gonna
I'm going to
edit that
add to your point.
But yeah, that's it.
I'm going to add to your point that this year alone, we've seen corporations that traditionally supported LGBTQIA prides and initiatives, all of a sudden, because there is a global cultural shift, they're taking away their DEI initiatives. So that alone is proof that it didn't come from the heart. Of course, it came for them to benefit financially.
So I think what is very telling in regards to the Queer Collective itself, because we are only one of the organizations who is building this initiative. But when we came about as Queer Collective in 2022, the first thing we wanted to do was to give the stigma of what we want to be doing, this grassroots level of building. And the first initiative that we got involved with and proposed was United by Pride. I think it's really important what was said in regards to pinkwashing or state and institutional support or withdrawal of that support. Is to be able to build grassroots initiatives that can adapt and do actually serve the community.
So not having those corporate funds and also having an intercommunal organizational aspect to put this together, what are some of the biggest challenges you face in terms of like putting this together and making it happen?
It's actually communication and establishing what our vision is, as in we need to create this, and trying to find people. People have to understand that we all have to organize. We all have to understand that this is important for us. They have to understand that, especially now when we can't even speak up, we can't even hug, we can't even put certain flags of a specific color. Doesn't matter. Like, it's very important to understand the gravity of the situation, and it's very sometimes when you're dealing, because it's not just Queer Collective that we're doing this, right? We have Queer
Cyprus, we have LGBTIQ African Association, we have Carabiner, We have the LGBT diaspora group from the UK.
So
There are the basis of United by Pride is exactly to build an event, to build an initiative that is open for members of the community, and it doesn't belong to anyone. That's why I emphasized how you won't see any logos on our materials, not just because of the character, the organizational character of United by Pride, but also of the goals and the purposes of United by Pride in building a grassroots initiative. So anyone that supports, any LGBT group that supports this initiative is free and open to join and participate and collaborate in putting it together.
It's accessible to everybody, basically.
So for me, one of the biggest highlights was we started the march from the south of Nicosia with half a flag, half a rainbow flag. And they started from the north of Nicosia with half a rainbow flag. We met at Nidra Palace and we sewed it together, which was very symbolic and was very beautiful. I want you to tell me, over the past 4 installations or 3 installations, what was for you the most powerful moment? Any favorite performances? Anything that you saw change over time that you want to share with us?
You want to start or should I start?
Go for it.
I always cry because I especially when the flag is it's stitched together and you're under it. I'm never under it. It just happens that I'm around like But I tear up because you see the meeting point and the final result, which for us is the beautiful thing as the highlight. For me is the highlight. I tear up because it's not just all the hard work that was put in, but it's maybe wishful thinking that maybe in the future we won't have to tackle so many difficulties just to be together, both sides, or just to be ourselves. And even just for that sheer moment to be under the flag, you're safe. You're at peace, and we take these things for granted because there are others that you're not as lucky as us.
Beautiful. And I know we touched upon this, but I think now more than ever, visibility, protest, and also joy is very important for the LGBTQIA community. So I want you to tell me a little bit, what are the biggest issues we face as a community, according to you, as an organization that tackles these things, and why being able to also find joy in Pride is important?
Well, I think Pride in and of itself is a protest and a celebration. It's quite unique in the sense that the LGBT community has faced violence, not only in Cyprus, but generally speaking. But we can focus in Cyprus.
Years more than ever.
I mean, it's a very similar trajectory, I feel, with a lot of places. Of course, there are nuances. But as a community that has faced adversities, violence, discrimination, alienation, being able to celebrate who you are and at the same time protest what you are still facing, the discriminations that you are still facing, the adversities that many in our communities are still facing, I think that's so precious. And I mean, talking about what adversities we do face in Cyprus, and I guess it would, I can't speak for the North, although we are an intersectional group and we are working closely with Turkish-speaking Cypriots. At least for the South, I think a lot of the narrative has been co-opted in a very neoliberal direction. A lot of the discourse is centered around what you will see around popular social media sites, usually emanating from the US, around trans rights, the erasure of trans people. And that is also a thing in Cyprus. We still don't have a gender recognition bill in Cyprus. There's no legislation to recognize a transgender person's gender markers. There is an unofficial process, but it's not codified in law. It can go away at any moment. And beyond that, as I said, we view our struggles intersectionally. And I'll take it a little bit back and link some of the questions that you asked. You said, what are some of the issues that we face? It's very hard for people who are already being discriminated against, who are facing a cost of living crisis, to be able to afford any of their spare time in organizing. And let me be clear, we are super happy by the response we've had from volunteers. We've had a lot of responses from volunteers for this year's United by Pride. And it just shows how each year it's getting better and it's growing. And it's achieving what it's meant to start bringing the community across the divide. But for example, a main problem is that a person living under the cost of living crisis, with soaring rents, stagnating wages, it's very difficult for them to carve out time to...
So it's all connected.
It is
the
connected.
Economy, human rights, immigration rights, women's rights, LGBTQ rights, they're all somehow connected.
I think this is what United by Pride is highlighting, and this is why it was the first initiative that we began with the Queer Collective, because it is exactly highlighting the interconnectedness, the intersectionality of all these topics.
So beyond United by Pride, what other initiatives does the Queer Collective work on currently, or any upcoming projects that you have in mind?
So you see how everything is interconnected, because we
Yes.
keep going back and forth to some of the questions. So some of our priorities as the Queer Collective, that's directly related with what issues we are facing in Cyprus, because we, as a grassroots organization, we're trying to center our agenda and our actions around the needs of the community. And for example, I mentioned about the increase in homophobic attacks. We want to set up a mechanism in Cyprus where we can follow up on these attacks, but in a more institutional manner, not just coming onto a podcast or writing an article, but actually institutionally following up
on the cases.
Yeah. And I want to give a couple of examples. We have the law, the hate speech law. There's not a single prosecution yet, and it's been around since 2016, I want to say. But that's a prime example of how it's not being enforced, that we do have things on paper that are not actively followed up
maybe
on.
somebody needs to pressure for them to...
So we want to create a community-based mechanism to be able to follow up on these cases and be able to apply pressure.
And let's not forget the attacks, they will always be there. People, you know. But what do we do about it? Do we just put a little bandage?
Or do we have a framework?
Or can we just do something to create a way to support and then perhaps educate? And that doesn't mean that, maybe the perpetrator is not the right word, maybe the perpetrator can actually learn and actually be re-educated.
We wrote an opinion piece about that in relation to restorative justice. You can find it on our Instagram page.
On our social media.
Another example is the conversion therapy ban. Again, it's a law that we haven't seen yet being enforced. So some of our other initiatives that we want to start putting forward in terms of addressing issues, sexual health care and sexual education. We still don't have an STI clinic in Cyprus, in all of Cyprus. Information is very sporadically made available.
And I know right now there's a push to have PrEP
Yes.
in Cyprus.
Yes. CY Checkpoint is doing
CY Checkpoint.
great
I know
job on
the
that.
national strategy for the LGBTIQ issues is being formed as we speak.
Yes.
And that comes from the European Union.
Yeah.
And I do feel that a lot of the time Cyprus relies on European Union forcing us to
we've been forced
to do those
this.
things.
Yeah.
So okay, we have to have some human rights,
Well,
but
sometimes
there are things happening.
Yeah.
I want to bring some
Yeah.
hope that
No,
things are
no,
moving.
it is hopeful because what you're mentioning are external pressures, and what we want to be building are the internal pressures. We want to be building things from the ground up. So a lot of our work is focused directly on that. You'll see that we do a lot of events, and that's not a random occurrence for Queer Collective.
Building.
It's
Yeah.
community building. It's bringing people together. All the artists, all the collaborators that work on an event for the collective, firstly, they work on it for free. And secondly, they're all part of the community. They're all LGBTQIA plus people.
And they're local.
And sometimes allies. Some of the help that we get comes from allies, which again builds these bridges that we want to be seeing. But a lot of the issues that we are facing and we want to be addressing are the legal gender recognition, homophobic attacks, the laws and protections in the workplace in terms of discrimination against LGBTQIA plus people. We want to focus on sexual health care and sexual education because that also entails a lot of social taboos that need to start breaking down. So you see all this work is quite intersectional in and of itself, and I've just talked about 4 topics. The list goes on and on. We're launching our website where we're going to have resources on STIs and where to get tested. We're going to build a community-based resource page where we're going to be vetting information from within the community for LGBTQIA plus friendly or LGBTQIA plus professionals. Yeah. And this ranges from doctors to lawyers to plumbers to accountants. There is a big need for the community to find professionals in every area of their lives that
they feel safe.
Because there's a lot of discrimination.
That they are not only safe with, but many times are LGBTQIA plus themselves.
Yeah. I was gonna say as well, like I know that this sounds like we're right now Queer Collectives at a phase that we're taking things much more like hands-on. We have we're a bit more professional. Before that, and let's not forget, before that, we had events such as even our beautiful queer movie nights or karaoke or stuff like that. Why were those important? Even though you might think like, it was very important.
That's exactly what I thought.
It was very important because, we found other people through that. Other people find out about Queer Collectives through that.
Yeah.
Some were younger or older people. They were living or you just moved here and they immediately felt like, oh, you know what? This is cool. This is out in the open. I can do this. And I think that's then
we find a sense of community.
And even though they sound a bit like immature and stuff, that gave us as well a push because we met a lot of people through that, and we built
different people. Some people will come at a DJ party. Some people will prefer the karaoke. Some people will come for a movie.
Yeah.
And then you build those connections. I mean, me myself, I've met so many people through the Queer Collective events.
Yeah.
And it's not only events which are more entertainment based. We have a series called Legally Queer.
Yeah.
We have discussions
where we have 2 lawyers speaking on current topics that concern the community. That's something that we also want to be able to expand. Yeah. We've had sex talks where we talk about consent or kinks. That's also something that we want to expand on. There's a lot of areas that might not be the first thing that someone thinks of as an urgent need of change or of protection, but the nuances of that and the direct impact on people's lives within the community is most of the times greater than someone might think.
I couldn't agree more. Okay, so to wrap things up,
Yeah.
United by Pride,
Yes.
September 27th. Give us the times, give us the place.
Yes.
And
United by
how can
Pride.
somebody join and how can somebody support?
So United by Pride is happening on the 27th of September. The marches start at 6 p.m. from
Eleftheria.
Platia Eleftherias and Kyulu Park in the north, respectively. And we will be converging and meeting at the Lidra Palace UN buffer zone, where we will have a stage with the wonderful performers and artists that we mentioned earlier.
We're gonna stitch up a flag.
Don't give that away.
We're not gonna stitch up a flag.
We might not.
Wink.
But no.
We will have CY Checkpoint with us doing rapid tests for HIV and syphilis. We will have all the participating groups with their respective info tables that you can go speak to them, see what materials they have, support them. We will have our lovely volunteers who will be on every aspect of this, from the tickets to the drinks to making sure that everyone is safe.
Yeah.
What else are we going to have?
Photographers, videographers.
You're gonna have music, you're
Escorts.
gonna have dancing, you're gonna have drinks.
We
We're
will
gonna have everything.
yes.
You're gonna have everything.
It's gonna be a very, very nice event.
It will be a party,
Great.
but it will also be political.
I'm looking forward to it. Theo, Ivy, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having us.
And thank you for watching another episode of Urban Canvas. You can follow us and subscribe on YouTube, or you can find us at fastforward.com.cy. Until next time, keep inspiring.